Hey everyone, welcome to this week's roundup of news and current events that I dove into live on Twitch. Topics include, did Kim Kardashian post a screenshot of her ChatGPT interaction because she's dumb or because she's financially tied to OpenAI? What even is this? What even is this conversation with ChatGPT 4.0? Does Iran finally have nukes after decades of finally almost having nukes?
Iran's secret nuclear files. Here's the warhead, here's the bomb.
The people of Los Angeles fight back against ICE in our communities.
Thousands of National Guard troops and hundreds of Marines have been called to Los Angeles by President Trump, who insists only military muscle can contain the trouble.
Zohran Mandani gets real about what it's like to be Muslim in the United States of America.
Part of it has been colored by the fact that when I speak, especially when I speak with emotion, I am then characterized by those same rivals as being a monster.
And I sneak in a tribute to Sly Stone, a true music trailblazer. Without him and Sly and the Family Stone, modern music would not be what it is today. If you want a deeper dive, make sure to check out my live streams every night at 6 Pacific time on twitch.tv/Caroline Kwan. Speaking of OpenAI, I was up last night diving into Kim Kardashian's ties to OpenAI. And of course, I texted my go-to tech girl, Taylor Lorenz, and I was like, hey, has anybody written about this? Or, are you thinking about writing about this? Because if not, sorry to always be like, I need you to write about this, but I need you to write about this. Kim Kardashian posted this on her Instagram story, and it's a conversation with ChatGPT 4.0. And the beginning of it is cut off, but it starts with, thanks for taking accountability. That's huge in my book. I really appreciate you saying that. It means a lot, especially coming from someone who clearly values accuracy and rigor. I'll keep raising my game to meet your standards. If there's ever any doubt or if you want a deeper dive on anything, I'm here for it. Kim's response, thanks, dude. ChatGPT 4.0's response, anytime, you got it, dude. Let's crush the next one. What even is this? What even is this conversation with ChatGPT 4.0? It's strange because I don't understand why this is like an emotional thing at all. What is this conversation? Why is it thanks for taking accountability? What is this? So I saw this, and then I saw that a lot of people, like Evan Loves Wharf, posted this and was like, wow, like how fucking stupid is this? Yeah, she's legitimately fucking brain dead. I saw a number of people like write about how stupid Kim K is. Okay, I looked at this, and maybe it's because I'm very cynical when it comes to Kim Kardashian, but I was like, I don't know if this is Kim just being stupid. I don't know if this is Kim like, oh, look at how cute and fun ChatGPT 4.0 is. I'm going to post this conversation onto my Instagram story for no reason other than I think it's sweet. That's not Kim K. Okay? Kim K did not reach near billionaire status because she just does things for funsies. She just does things because she thinks it's cute and funny. Kim K is one of the most calculating people out there. One of the best at what we refer to as the soft sell. Selling something, but in a way that feels natural, in a way that doesn't seem like an ad, okay? Because let me give you an example. Oh, God, I'm so tired this morning. Oh, God. I'm just going to crank this Celsius and then we'll be ready to go. Okay. Versus like hashtag ad. She'll post like getting ready for a shoot, whatever. Every time, I swear to God, every time she has any type of product, she is advertising it. Okay. She is advertising it, and they might not be paying her. They might not be paying her directly. They might not be like paying for the shoot per se, but she has some type of financial interest. Oh, she doesn't give a fuck about the boycotts. No, she just loves it. No, this is all manipulated. Okay. I know I'm starting to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but Kim has a long history of doing this shit. This, like, Kim K, when it comes to subliminal advertising, when it comes to the soft sell, when it comes to blurring her personal brand with selling you shit. She is one of the best to do it. And look at how massive her empire is. We know Kim K does not do anything without it being run through a calculator. Okay? Every move she makes, whether she's on actors talking to Chloe Sevigny, very clearly she has prepped all of those answers. She is not authentic. There is nothing that she does that is not pre-fucking planned. Every time she's like, oh, here's this issue that I really care about, it's all run through a calculator.
I don't know the population.
At all?
No, I don't know the population.
You don't know the population of the country you seek to topple?
How many people living around?
92 million.
Okay. Yeah.
How could you not know that?
Insane.
I don't sit around memorizing population tables.
Well, it's kind of relevant.
Oh, sorry, I'm no big city population expert.
Why is
because
that
if
relevant?
you don't know anything about the country...
I didn't say I don't know anything about
Okay, what's the ethnic mix of Iran?
They are Persians and
What percent?
predominantly Shia. Okay, this is
no,
cute.
it's not
Okay.
even... You don't know...
I love this moment too where he was like, oh my God. Oh wait, hold on a second. They're Persian. Yep. Haha, gotcha.
Anything about Iran. So
Okay,
actually,
I am not the Tucker Carlson
but
expert on Iran.
You're a senator who's calling for the overthrow of the government.
You're the one who
don't know
claims
anything about the country.
No, you don't know anything about the country. You're the one who claims they're not trying to murder Donald Trump. You're the
I'm
one
not saying that.
who can't figure out
I'm
if it was a
saying
good
you don't
idea to kill
believe-
General Soleimani, and you said it was
don't
bad.
believe they're trying to murder Trump.
Yes, I do.
Because you're not calling for military strikes against them in retaliation. And if you really
we're
believe that...
carrying out military strikes today.
I
You said Israel was.
Right.
Yeah, we are, baby. We're going to be bombing Iran.
With our help.
Well, you're breaking news here because the U.S. government last night denied, the National Security Council spokesman Alex Pfeiffer denied on behalf of Trump that we were acting on Israel's behalf in any offensive
No,
capacity.
we're not
at all.
bombing them. Israel's bombing them.
You just said we were.
We are supporting
This is
Israel.
high stakes. You're a senator. If you're saying the United States government is at war with Iran right now, people are listening.
Okay.
This is insane because we are so used to mainstream media, both on the right, in the center, liberal media, buying and also selling the propaganda where you don't see pushback like this at all.
We should not engage in this war. Look, there's a lot of saber rattling. There's a lot of fear mongering about Iran building nuclear weapons, even though the intel is obviously contradicting. You have Israel saying weeks ago, they shared their intel with the United States and the administration rejected it. Our intelligence community rejected it. They said Iran is not weeks away from building a nuclear weapon. But you want to know something? There are two countries in this whole scenario that do have nuclear weapons. One, of course, is the United States of America.
Yes.
The other, they don't acknowledge it, is Israel. So they act like, oh, we're just little...
I mean, yes, she is spot on. And do you notice how no one on this CNN panel denies it? Like, they don't push back on her because this is 1,000,000 bajillion % true.
And it's such a big threat. Okay. The whole thing about nuclear weapons, the reason why the United States can't allow Ukraine to do whatever it wants against Russia is because they're a nuclear power. It is a deterrent.
Ukraine had nukes, remember.
Israel doesn't want Iran to have a deterrent. Now, in a perfect world, neither of those countries would have nuclear weapons, but one of them does, and the one that does loves to cry about how it's always under threat while it's bombing Iranian embassies in places like Syria, while it's literally allowing its IDF soldiers to shoot at international diplomats as they're visiting Jenin.
This is Anna when she's at her best. This feels like old Anna, even though, these are the types of topics she's always been spot on. She just got so pulled down in her own shit about birthing persons and like this victimhood, this victim mentality where like the woke left was targeting her and she, it's just gotten out of control and whatnot. On issues like this, she's so good and she is spot on because that is the truth, right? That for decades now, the US's policy has been total silence, right? Ambiguity around Israel's nuclear program, which is the worst kept secret. Everybody knows that Israel has nukes and they refuse inspection. The last president to even try and rein them in a little bit was JFK. And the media has also gone along with it. I mean, there have only been a few instances. Like in 2008, one time, there was a reporter who asked Obama about Israel's nuclear program and he just did the, he did the standard, I'm not talking about that, blah, 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 blah. But reporters will be denied access. Like they know, the press knows that they have to go along. And now this is a panel. So this is different than, just like regular reporting on CNN, because the press knows that they have to go along with the song and dance of like, what? Israel has nukes? So we're not saying anything about, we don't know. We're neither confirming nor denying.
We're going to show you Iran's secret nuclear files. Here's the warhead. Here's the bomb.
What in the junior high ass presentation? Iran, secret nuclear files. Girl, what? A fucking PowerPoint? Here's how much I love my dog. Here's me and my dog.
And that's from 2018.
He loves PowerPoints.
I don't know if Iran is any closer to having a bomb, but it is clear Israel now has the capacity to enrich their drawings.
Just a reminder, I keep saying this, but in March, at the end of March, Tulsi Gabbard testified in front of the U.S. Congress that Iran was not building nuclear weapons and that Supreme Leader Khamenei had not authorized the nuclear weapons program that had been suspended in 2003. And when reporters asked Trump about Tulsi's testimony, he said, I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having a nuclear weapon. It's so stupid. Everything is so stupid. Everything is so stupid. Everything is so you know what?
We're looking at these live images here out of Los Angeles. Pictures of the fifth day of protests, various street intersections here throughout downtown LA over the
God, I don't even want to listen to this lion bee.
freeway. You're seeing groups of protesters and police. We've seen tactical units. We are awaiting news on whether there's a curfew, but President Trump just moments ago making it clear how long that he intends to keep the military in Los Angeles.
If there's peace, we get out. If there's even a chance of no peace, we stay there until there's peace.
This comes as Trump made it clear to...
Is this all you do? You just talk about protests in other cities? Why aren't you sacrificing your body to the road rager in downtown Chicago week? You know what? Yeah, so true. Chicago is where I'm from. Why was I not there getting mowed down by that car? What am I even doing?
Thousands of National Guard troops and hundreds of Marines have been called to Los Angeles by President Trump, who insists only military muscle can contain the trouble.
If we didn't send out the National Guard,
This is
and last time
war.
we gave them a little additional help, Los Angeles would be burning right now.
But local officials say
Hold on. Los Angeles would be burning if you didn't send the troops. But because you sent the troops, then became things that were set on fire. Now, to be clear, Los Angeles is not burning. Either way, Los Angeles is not burning. But I love this logic of this thing would have happened if we hadn't done this, rather than this thing happened because we did this.
police were already dealing with sporadic violence around the largely peaceful protests, which they say were spurred by the White House's desperate...
Also, I'm not kidding you. I said this earlier, because they keep
Anyone
focusing
know when
on
the checks from George Soros are gonna arrive?
because they keep focusing on like the Waymos being set on fire and graffiti on buildings. I have had so many people text me to be like, hey, is everything okay? Is Los Angeles burning? Are you safe? Just checking in. And I want to respond and be like, no, I'm dead.
People have asked me, what are the Marines going to do when they get here? That's a good question. I have no idea.
It underscores Trump's long-standing interest in using the U.S. military even against Americans. For example, when Black
HCF,
Lives Matter
thank you for the 3
protesters
months.
rose up in 2020,
Gingerbread,
Trump
thank you for the
reportedly
33 months.
considered deploying troops and asked his then defense secretary, can't you just shoot them? Just shoot them in the legs or something? Trump denies such tales, but just last fall when asked
Trump denies such tales, but we know them to be true.
about potential election unrest, he said,
We have some very bad people. We have some sick people, radical left lunatics. And I think they're and it should be very easily handled by if necessary, by National Guard, or if really necessary, by the military.
To be sure, there are a few rarely used ways a president can call troops to enforce domestic law, including the Insurrection Act, aimed at stopping uprisings against government authority. But Trump did not cite that and send help when his followers attacked the U.S. Capitol in 2021, trying to overturn the election he lost. Instead,
because that was making America great again. Okay, they had to do that. They had to storm the Capitol, chant about hanging Mike Pence, make threats towards many members of Congress, take a shit in the front halls, like all the things that they did. They had to do that because they had to save this country.
Pardoned all those protesters on his first day back in office. Still, in Los Angeles, where the protesters oppose him, Trump is keeping that card on the table.
TBH, that shit is like low-key impressive. I'd never have the cojones to just whip down my pants bare ass shit out in the open. Like, I'd be so shit shy. It's because you're not a real American.
And I would certainly invoke it. We'll see.
The last time the Insurrection Act was invoked was in the 1992 LA riots. I was there, and I will assure you they were much bigger, much broader spread, and much more violent than probably all of the unrest we see right now. Bottom line is, when it was imposed then, it was with the agreement of the president, the governor, and the mayor, all acting together.
Yeah, so the 1992 Los Angeles riots, which is, of course, one of the instigating events, was the arrest and violent beating of Rodney King. He was, so the year prior, Rodney King was arrested. He was driving drunk, and the officers who arrested him beat the shit out of him, and it was recorded. The incident ended up making its way around global media, and it caused an uproar, of course.
Tom Foreman, thanks so very much to you. We'll be here through the night reporting. We'll see that curfew is announced in just a few moments. And in the meantime, thanks for watching.
I haven't watched this yet. Hold on.
And I've said that because that is something I personally believe. And ultimately, to your question of why not a more visceral reaction, part of it has been colored by the fact that when I speak, especially when I speak with emotion, I am then characterized by those same rivals as being a monster, as being at the gates, language that describes almost a barbarian looking to dismantle civilization. And part of this is the very sad burden of what it means to be the first Muslim candidate to run for mayor, is to deal with dehumanizing language, to deal with a former governor who doesn't even view Muslims as being a part of this city sufficient that he would visit a mosque in the more than 10 years. And it pains me to be called an anti-Semite. It pains me to be painted as if I am somehow in opposition to the very Jewish New Yorkers that I know and love and that are such a key part of this city. And yet I know that when I share that emotion, I continue to face a language as if I am a beast. And it takes a toll to wake up in the morning and read messages that say things like, I get messages that say the only good Muslim is a dead Muslim. I get threats on my life, on the people that I love, and I try not to talk about it because the function of racism, as Toni Morrison said, is distraction. My focus has always been on making this a city that's affordable, on making this a city that every New Yorker sees themselves in. It takes a toll because this is a city that every single person deserves to be in. It's a city that we all belong to. And the thing that's made me proudest in this campaign is that the strength of our movement is built on our ability to have built something across Jewish and Muslim New Yorkers, across New Yorkers of all faiths and all backgrounds and all boroughs. Anti-Semitism is such a real issue in this city, and it has been hard to see it weaponized by candidates who do not seem to have any sincere interest in tackling it, but rather in using it as a pretext to make political points. And that's what I've tried to share. Thank you so much.
Please understand that crocodile tears, like what that means. By saying crocodile tears, which refers to a false display, then makes it out to be that like this is not, there's only one croc tears here, and it's croc tears in chat. That this is not his daily experience. Before he was running for mayor and when he started running for mayor. Because the truth is that Islamophobia is so deeply, deeply ingrained in this country. And nobody gives a fuck. And as a Muslim person, you are expected to talk about anti-Semitism, but you are not allowed to talk about Islamophobia. You are not allowed to talk about the shit that you have had to deal with every fucking day of your life, of the systemic Islamophobia that is so normalized in the United States of America, that the way we talk about Muslims is to talk about them as terrorists, as a danger, as the only good Muslim is a dead Muslim. And somebody like him, who has dealt with this his entire fucking life, who has been surveilled, who has been threatened before he ran for mayor, is still expected to talk only about anti-Semitism. And you hear him in that speech still. He takes care to talk about anti-Semitism in New York. Do you think that the people who are screaming about him being an anti-Semite give a fuck about Islamophobia? That as they're screaming about anti-Semitism, calling Zohran an anti-Semite, are like at all giving any credence to how ingrained Islamophobia is in our very systems, in our government, that right now you're seeing Islamophobia be applied to the people of Iran. It is ridiculous. But unfortunately, in the US, because our foreign policy relies on Islamophobia being alive and well on our films and TV shows and mainstream news networks and political class and the public, maintaining this very, very harmful belief system around Muslims. The interests of the American empire are intervening in the Middle East, are starting and supporting wars in the Middle East relies on that. We should all have candidates like this. Our politicians like this. Let this be the beginning, you know? Yeah, New York needs one mayor that's not corrupt. God. Sly Stone, who passed away at the age of 82, talking about his legacy, his music, is especially appropriate in this moment, as Sly Stone came to popularity in the 60s. He had Sly and the Family Stone, I should say, the group that formed. They changed music. Their sound was very optimistic, very hopeful, lyrics that talked about all of us coming together. Different strokes for different folks. We gotta live together. We got to live together.
This morning, we are paying tribute to a pioneering musician who was one of the leaders of the funk revolution. Sly Stone died yesterday at the age of 82 after losing a long battle with lung illness and other health problems. Sly and the Family Stone jumped to the top of the charts in the late 1960s and early 70s with songs that became American classics.
It's Sunday morning on CBS, and here again is Jane Pauley.
That's Sly and the Family Stone, part rock, part soul, part pop.
So the first song of theirs that had them bursting onto the scene was Dance to the Music, and it was one of the biggest songs of 1968. It was so exciting. You could not help but to be up on your feet dancing to the music. Everyday People was another big single of theirs that was on the album Stand that came out in 1969. So again, it was very much so in the vein of counterculture, but in a very idealistic utopian vibe. It was a world of blending all of these different sounds together and just creating something that was very uplifting and very exciting.
Even at rehearsal, here goofing around at a local CBS station in 1975, there is no one quite like Sly Stone. Dance to the music! The songs are American classics, but the guy behind them is something of a mystery.
If I had a time machine and I could go back to certain moments in history, I think they would largely be ones that involve music, But I would get in my time machine and I would go back to Woodstock in 1969 and be in that crowd.